It's really interesting to look back now on a lot of things that happened to me because depression and anxiety can manifest in such physical ways. I don't know if it's ego or pride that we go, we're okay, we don't need this medication, or it's what's been imposed on us by society to say, you're crazy if you're on medication. With talking with a psychiatrist, I told her, I'm really scared to get on medication because what if I'm not myself? What if it changes me? And she point blank asked me, are you happy with who you are right now? And I said, no, I'm not happy with who I am. I am miserable. And she said, so what are you scared of? What if everything is better?
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Venciendo la Depre. This is your host Adolfo Segovia. Today we have a special guest. We actually work together. Her name is Kira Augustus. She's a technology professional. She has an amazing career, and she's just been named Woman of the Channel list by CRN Magazine. So I'm very excited to have her today. She has an amazing story of a lot of suffering, but also resilience. And she's been able to turn the page. And today she's a successful professional. So I'm very excited to have her today. So before we start, I just want to share a little bit about my story. My name is Adolfo Segovia. I was abducted by a drug cartel when I was 18 years old in Mexico. After the abduction, I was assaulted at gunpoint. A couple of months later, this cartel actually started asking my family for money, or they were going to take my mother or my sister. Then we had to escape Mexico because they were going to kill us, and we had to move to the US. And in the US, a lot of other stuff happens that actually created depression on myself. I suffered depression for almost 7-8 years without even knowing. I was diagnosed with major depression disorder, PTSD, anxiety, ADHD, and I decided to create this podcast to try to help people, and also make people conscious that depression is real. I think there's a lot of people still out there who believe, especially in Latam and in maybe not in the US, but in many countries, people still believe depression is a joke, or it's because you are weak, or it's just you are crazy or something like that. So that's the goal of this podcast, to help people get outside of depression. So Kira, welcome.
Thank
Please,
you.
the mic is yours.
Wow, thank you so much, Adolfo, and thank you sincerely for inviting me on the podcast. I greatly appreciate the opportunity at any time to speak about mental health awareness. So my story starts at a very young age. I grew up a child of divorce, which I grew up in Utah, and it was not common when I was younger, especially in the kind of small town that I was living in, for families to separate and for a child to go back and forth between two houses. Uh, I also wasn't of the religion of the community where most people in Utah, not most, but Utah has a very large population of Latter-day Saints,
Mormon.
also known as LDS, also known as Mormons. Uh, and that made it really hard for me because some parents would not allow their children to have sleepovers with me or hang out with me because I did not go to their church. I went to a different church, but it wasn't theirs. So I was very limited already in the friends that I could make and the people I could hang around with, and already kind of had a stigma of coming from a separated home. So already the odds were kind of stacked against me as a child. Unfortunately, I grew up with a primary parent who is not mentally well. I have cut off contact with them. I'm no contact with that parent for my own mental health reason, for my own mental health safety, really, now. But growing up, I was in that house full time, and it was not a safe or healthy environment. It was really scary at times. There were a lot of times where we were kind of left to ourselves to fend for ourselves as children. And there was a lot of things that I was exposed to at a very young age that I don't think any child should ever be exposed to. And it's stuff that I'm still working through now. But it was really hard. I remember specifically the first time I had a panic attack. I was in junior high, and I had no idea what was happening. And for the listeners, if you've never had a panic attack, it feels like you're dying. Your heart is racing, you can't breathe. Uh, People go to urgent care or ERs all the time with panic attacks, thinking that they're actually having a heart attack. And I remember I was in my junior high and had a panic attack and thought I was dying. I got taken to my primary care doctor and told him I feel like I can't breathe. I'm not getting a full breath, which now I know is a symptom of anxiety. Uh, I feel like I can't breathe. Everything feels like it's closing in on me. Uh, he put a pulse oximeter on my finger, which tracks your oxygen level intake. And he put it on my finger and he looked at it and he looked at me and he said, "You're getting 100% oxygen. You're fine." And I went, "Oh, okay. I do not feel fine. Um, I constantly feel like I'm dying, but okay. You're a child and a doctor tells you that you're okay. Obviously, nothing's physically wrong with you. So, like, you I feel like I was very honest in a way that should have clued the doctor in to say, we should get you talking to a mental health professional. But it was just, you're breathing, you're getting enough oxygen, you're okay, you can go home. Uh, and so I very much was like, okay, just it's me. Something's wrong with me. If they're telling me by all means I'm fine, there's something wrong with me. Uh, and it wasn't until high school that I had a counselor talk to me, and she clued into something was going on, that I wasn't okay, and had me take a test. Uh, and when she reviewed it, she said, "I would like you to start coming to group counseling sessions." I went to an alternative high school during my high school, my senior year, and I feel very lucky that I had that support there, because that kind of kicked it off for me that it was okay to talk to people about things that were going on. Definitely was not allowed to talk about my feelings in my house without it being used as a slight against me. If I were to say I'm anxious or I'm feeling depressed or I feel unseen, unheard, I don't feel loved, uh, it would be turned around and I would be told, "Oh, I'm just a bad parent then. You hate me. Uh, you wish I was dead. I should just go uh, kill myself." Like, those were the things that were told to me growing up when
Wow.
I would express my feelings. So
Yeah. Yeah, you know
very
that
young.
something similar happened to me after all these things that I just mentioned. I was abducted, flee from Mexico. We came here. I never looked for help. I thought I was okay
Right.
until, and I went to, until I started having physical problems that I felt like you. I felt sick. I felt tired all the time. I felt I couldn't sleep. I had gastritis or everything I would eat, I would feel bad. But it took me actually 5 to 6 years to be diagnosed with depression. I went to they did the thing that they put a tube in my mouth. They did
Yeah,
the
an upper endoscopy.
endoscopy, colonoscopy. They did an MRI of my brain. And everyone was like, "You are fine. You are fine. You are fine. You have nothing." So I'm like, "Okay, I'm fine." And it was until at that time I finished my bachelor's. I wanted to do my master's, my MBA. So my dream was to go to a top top school, right? Harvard or NYU, which I was not going to be able to afford it, but that was my dream. So I was preparing for the GMAT. So I would go to the library and study for 3 or 4 hours and then come home and I wouldn't remember anything. And
Yes.
then I remember my breaking point was one day I was taking a shower and I got lost in the shower for 1 hour. I was just looking at the drops from the shower
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my God, something's wrong here. I feel like I feel like I'm getting crazy. I feel like something's wrong. And I had all the symptoms. I was sad. I was terrible. I felt like a piece of crap. I was like a walking dead, pretty much.
Yeah.
I felt like a dead person walking. But the doctors say you're okay, or you need testosterone, or you need this, or you have blah blah blah. So when that happened, I was like, oh my God, something's wrong. I feel like I'm going crazy. So I went to see a doctor and I talked to him for 5 minutes and I told him these things that happened to me. And he was like, you need to go to see a psychiatrist immediately. And that's when I was diagnosed. But it took me like 6 years of suffering and no freaking doctor had the idea that it could have been depression.
Yeah, it's really really interesting to look back now on a lot of things that happened to me because depression and anxiety can manifest in such physical ways
Yeah.
that you go to a doctor and you think it would be more common when you're telling them, I'm throwing up constantly, I'm not sleeping. There's all these different things that kind of now are like red flags of, are you mentally doing okay? Uh, and it's just, in some cases, it's really unfortunate. These medical professionals are checking a box and saying, there's nothing physically wrong with you. You're good to leave.
Yeah.
Uh, and not going a step further to check in on somebody to say, are, are you doing okay mentally? Like, how, let's get you to
But
talk to someone. Let's get you to talk to a crisis worker or somebody.
yeah, but if they would have asked me, do you have any mental health problems? I would have said, no, I'm fine. I feel fine. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
just tired, sad. I feel like my chest is going to explode. I want to cry all day, but I'm fine. I don't feel depressed. In my mind, I was okay, but
yeah.
I was terribly depressed. So what happened with you? You started going to therapy young in high
So
school.
I started seeing a counselor in high school. It was a service provided by the alternative high school that I went to. I did group counseling sessions. After I left high school, I stopped going. And this, you'll see, is kind of a theme for me. Is I would go to therapy for a bit. I would say, I did it. Congratulations. You're good. Let's go. And then I would stop going. And that has happened a couple of times in my life where I say, I'm okay. Everything's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to therapy. Things are going better. I'm good. And then I stop going and things get bad again. Uh, so from the time that I was 19 until about 28, I was I did therapy on and off for a period of time. My first mental breakdown happened when I was 21, 22 years old. Um, I wasn't able to keep food down. I couldn't sleep. I had lost, I think, in this series of like 9 months, I lost 70 pounds.
A lot.
And people were telling me, "You look amazing. You look so good. Oh my gosh, look at all this weight you've lost." And I would say, "Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, you're so kind." But in my head, I'm screaming like, I am not okay. I am breaking down and crying on the floor at my job. Uh, and I am not surviving. And a really big shout out to my boss at the time, Jared Garappo. He helped keep me together, even when I probably should have been fired a couple of times, just because of how bad things got. Jared advocated for me, and Jared was actually the one who came up to me and said, "You need to figure this out. You need to go to a doctor, and you need to figure this out."
So you were not
Something,
on medicated at that time,
no,
just
I was
therapy.
not medicated at the time. I was very anti-medication, and I remember crying, telling my family, "Please do not put me in a mental hospital." Even though I probably should have been medicated. I know I should have been medicated, and I probably should have gone into a mental hospital at that time to get help. There was just such a stigma around, if I'm on medicine, if I go into a mental hospital, I'm crazy, and people are going to call me
Yeah.
crazy. So I wanted nothing to do with it. Um, I was able to get out of that depressive episode, uh, and my my husband is also just an amazing man. Him and I were just starting to date when I went through that first depressive episode, and he stuck by me. He's stuck by me through all of this, uh, and has just been my constant throughout this, especially in these more recent years where things got really, really bad. Uh, so after I was able to get out of that depressive episode, um, was still like kind of like you were. I'm okay. That 10
Yeah.
months of me crying all the time, not being able to sleep. During that time, I remember I went to, again, a primary care doctor because there's really no guide given to you on
But
what
you
to
you
do.
you talk to a lot of counselors. Didn't they tell you you have to go to a psychiatrist? I mean, you need
At the
medication.
time,
You
I had stopped going to a counselor. I was not going to a counselor during that breakdown. I did see a primary care physician and told him what was going on, and he said, "Oh, here's Xanax. You should be good." And I started taking Xanax, and I felt like a zombie. And that kind of reaffirmed, "Oh, you don't want to be on medication. This is bad. You shouldn't be on medication." Uh, so stop taking it without talking to my doctor, which I do not recommend. Please don't ever stop taking medication without talking to your doctor. Uh, and I just went through it myself because in my head I was still looking at it so negatively, like it was a bad thing that I
so
was having these things
the
happen.
so you never visit a psychiatrist because you had the stigma that it was bad, pretty
Yeah,
much,
yeah, that if I went to a psychiatrist and got on medication, I was going to be labeled as crazy.
and it was
That,
probably a sin too because you had the religious
yeah,
part.
like you just don't do that. You just don't do that. So 24, I start a new job. I break into the technology industry. And things are good for a couple of years. My husband and I get married. We got married when I was 27 back in 2018, and things were okay. But things kind of started adding on where I was still talking to to my parent at the time, who was very emotionally abusive to me, was still allowing them in my life, uh, was still talking or was not going to therapy consistently, had gone back in that time between my last mental breakdown and the one that was about to come. Had gone to therapy, like, kind of, and then did what I normally do, which was, oh, I'm okay, so I'm going to stop going. Was not on any medications, wasn't doing anything to try to maintain a good sense of mental health, was just kind of like, oh, it pops up from time to time, and I'll deal with it when it pops up again. My husband and I got married. We bought a house, and I got promoted at work, and this all happened within a year. And I was not used to good things happening to me. I struggled, and I still struggle to this day with good things happening to me because I feel like part of it, I feel like I don't deserve it. And the other part is I feel like if something really good happens, then something really bad is about to happen because good things don't happen to me. It's always with something bad, or something good happens because something bad happened. And in June of 2019, another episode started, and I stopped eating again, stopped sleeping. I remember I took a sleep aid, like took a Tylenol PM, and I was still like waking up, like gasping, like terrified. Uh, was still going to work, was still pretending everything was okay. The only person who knew that I was really not okay was my husband because he was here with me. And this happened for a couple of weeks of June and into July. And it was July 3rd, the night of July 3rd. I couldn't sleep, but I didn't want to keep my husband up. So I went downstairs and was watching the Golden Girls because I love the Golden Girls. And was up, and it just started kind of trickling in where I had thoughts before of I shouldn't be here. It would be a lot easier if I wasn't here. These thoughts became stronger, and I started thinking about how I would do it. How could I do it to where it wouldn't hurt my husband? How could I do it to where it isn't painful? What can I get a hold of that'll just make it as easy as possible for me to not be alive anymore? Then I remember the sun had started to come up, and I went, oh no, I need help. Like this, if I go through another night like this, I probably won't survive it. Um, Came upstairs, my husband was asleep, and I woke him up and I said, I am not safe to myself anymore. I am not safe. Um, and I don't know what to do because I don't want to be here anymore. And again, they don't make a guide for this, they don't make a how to. And so my husband said, let's go to the ER because we had no idea what else to do. It was the 4th of July, so a lot of things like were already closed. We had no idea what to do, so we went to the ER, and I hadn't eaten in days, and was having panic attacks constantly. And for me, the panic attack like starts in my chest, and I feel really cold, and then it's just like a warmth blooms across my body, and I'm like, oh no. So we went to the ER. I walked up to the front desk and I said, I don't want to be alive anymore. I need help. And that was the start of me going inpatient on the 4th of July.
But okay, and did they treat you? Did they send you to a
Yeah.
psychiatrist this time?
So I got put into the ER, got put into a room. If you tell someone at the ER you're thinking about harming yourself, they put you into a safe room. So the bed was on the floor. There's nothing you can use to hurt yourself with. Uh, and I had a social worker assigned to me who came in and talked to me and my husband and said, "Hey, we think the best idea is to admit you to an inpatient mental health facility. Uh, we're going to find a place, so you're just going to need to sit here." Since I had told them that I had suicidal thoughts and suicidal ideations and that I had formulated a plan, when they found the facility, I was not allowed to drive over there with my husband. I had to go via ambulance. And I remember laying down in the back of the ambulance, just like staring up. There's a guy working, and it's like a Thursday for him, just at his job, and I'm crying hysterically. And I'm like, "How are you doing?" But I'm trying to still be okay instead of just like allowing myself to go, "You are not okay," and you need to like just be not okay.
Yeah.
Uh, they drove me to the mental health facility. It's the Huntsman Mental Health Facility here in Utah. It is an amazing facility. I was in there for a week. Uh, a lot happened. I had to have my husband text my job. Again,
Did
my
they did,
boss.
did they put you? I believe I don't remember the name, but there's this medication to help you like calm down.
Yes, yes. So my husband contacted my work. My boss, again, want to give her a shout out. Her name's Sierra Broberg. Was super understanding, was super accommodating to make sure that my job was okay and my job would be there when I got back. And uh, when I got into the facility, they took me through kind of the inpatient onboarding. We went through everything. I had a shared bedroom. The first 24 hours, I had to wear scrubs. I couldn't wear my own clothes. And I couldn't go outside during that first 24 hours. And I think that's just for my safety and for them to be able to truly assess me. Uh, and I did get put on mirtazapine while I was in there, which is an antidepressant and a sleep aid, and that helped me fall asleep. And I slept for the first time in
In
weeks.
years, in weeks.
It was, oh my gosh, I remember I was like, no, I'm in a mental health facility wearing scrubs in a room without being able to shut the door. And I was still like, no, I don't need medication. And then it got
Really,
to be, yeah, I still was like, no, I can do it.
you know that something funny happened to me when so I was not able to do the GMAT, right, for the but I at that time I had the breakdown. I felt like I'm gonna die. I went to this doctor. I went to a psychiatrist. By the way, the first time I told my parents I need to go to psychiatrist, they were like, "You don't need that. You are fine. You are strong." And I'm like, "No, I I need to go because I never said anything. I always
Yeah,
never expressed my feelings, and not because I didn't. I had amazing parents, but they were so strong that I just didn't know how to tell them how I felt. Like I didn't even know what was happening to me. I didn't know I was
yeah,
depressed. I was just
yeah,
feeling like a piece of crap, or I don't know. I want to say the other word, but I was feeling terrible. I couldn't walk. I was going to bed at 9 p.m. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I was not dating. I was not going out. I'm talking years
yeah,
just working and studying, working and studying. So at first time I go to the psychiatrist, same thing happened. He tells me, you have all these things, you need all these medications, and he sent me Adderall, right, for the
ADHD, yeah,
ADHD. And I'm like, I'm not gonna take that. Why? Because that's methamphetamines and that's a drug, and I don't want it. I'm gonna take the others. I'm gonna take the um, the depression one and anxiety one, clonazepam and the other, but amphetamines I'm not gonna take. So he said, okay, you're gonna come back, but it's okay. And I remember I didn't want to take anything, but I remember he told me, you have two options. Do you want to have a life or you don't? Because it
Yeah.
seems to me that you don't have a life. And like, you are right. Give me the meds. So, anyways, I go to I kept going. I was doing my master's. I went to University of Miami, and the first class was economics, easy class for me. I liked it. I was having fun, all that. Second class, financial accounting. I
Oof.
was I was not taking the Adderall.
Yeah.
So I remember. By the way, the first time I took the depression medication, I felt like the lights, the sun came out of my
Yes.
life. I swear. And I remember there years ago there was some type a commercial, a TV commercial about what medication. I don't remember one, and it was like that. There was a woman in the dark, and she started taking it, and the sun came out. That's how I felt the first time I take the medication. So I'm in the school. I'm trying, right? I had the midterm for financial accounting. I studied hours and hours. The professor gave me the exam. I look at it. I said, I don't know anything. I start shaking and I had a panic attack. As I stand up after a minute, I gave him the test. I left the room. He came out. What's going on? I'm like, I was crying. I couldn't talk. I just showed
Yeah.
him the my cell phone where I had like the prescription or the diagnose, and he told me go talk to the manager of the program, and they offered me help, and I was like, I don't want help. I want to do my master's like everybody else. Just give me time to study. But I went to the psychiatrist and I told him, please give me that that ADHD thing, and it did help me. It did help me, and
Yeah.
because
Uh,
of it helped me a lot.
it's so interesting that
We're
I don't know
stubborn.
if it's ego or pride that we go, we're okay, we don't need this medication, or it's what's been imposed on us by society to say, you're crazy if you're on
I,
medication.
I call it ignorance. I just
Yeah,
think I'm an ignorant because I am thinking all these things about people, about the society. It's ignorance. Who
yeah.
cares?
Well, and I love that you're doing this podcast, and I love that we're talking about this because, gosh, if this can even help one person say,
Yeah.
I should probably talk to someone, or maybe I should try out medication, that makes me so happy because for so long I was so anti-meds. Uh, Going into the mental hospital, I got on meds, and part of me leaving the hospital was I had to follow all of these kind of I had to hit all these milestones after. So I had to do weekly appointments with a therapist, and I had to do weekly appointments with a psychiatrist. So I had to meet with a psychiatrist and a psychologist every week. And with talking with the psychiatrist, I told her, um, I'm really scared to get on medication because what if I'm not myself? What if it changes me? And she point blank asked me, are you happy with who you are right now? And I said, no, I'm not happy with who I am. I am miserable. And
Yeah.
she said, so what are you scared of? What if everything is better? And I went, okay. So I got on an antidepressant and an anti-anxiety. Started going back to therapy weekly and was very honest with my therapist, and that's when I got all of my full diagnoses of major depressive disorder with recurrent episodes, generalized anxiety, and PTSD from prolonged traumas. happening in my childhood. And it was really interesting something you said earlier uh, with how trauma impacts you. I don't remember a lot of my childhood. I, there are things people will say to me of, you and I went to school together, we were friends, and I don't remember any of it. I remember really big things from my childhood and really bad times, but the rest of it is kind of hiding away somewhere. And I again thought that was normal until I talked to my psychiatrist and my psychologist, and they said, "Oh, that's a trauma response. That's something your body does to protect you." Uh, so it was very interesting to learn those things. Getting out of the hospital was a really hard period of time for me. Uh, and it's really weird to say, but I am semi thankful for the pandemic, which is really weird to say. And I totally know it's weird to say that I'm thankful for the pandemic, but getting out of the hospital, it felt like I was having to relearn how to walk and how to talk. It felt like it felt like I had been cut open and ripped bare for everybody to see. And I felt so vulnerable. And I had a really supportive work. Polaris here in Sandy, Utah, the people there are just amazing, and they helped me out a lot, and they worked with me a lot to ensure that I was okay, that I was safe, and that I knew people had my back and would help me. Uh, Again, so thankful for the people that were surrounding me in some of the
Let
hardest
let
moments
me
of my life.
let me ask you something related to work. When you apply, do you actually put that you suffer from mental health,
Yeah,
or you do?
yeah, I do every time.
I never do it.
I
I'm
do.
afraid. I'm afraid that it might affect me getting the job.
I mean, that's fair. I also feel like
But I don't know. Maybe it helps. Maybe it helps a little bit. I don't know.
because now there is that new section of, do you have a disability? And part of it is, yes, I do have mental health issues. I'm also deaf, so I'm completely deaf in my left ear. I don't know if you can see it, I have my cochlear implant.
Oh,
Uh, so I do have other disabilities as well that I'm more than happy to talk about. And uh, I think it's better for people to know that,
but
well,
in
yes,
terms of the jobs, like I'm applying, I'm competing against other
yeah,
people. I don't want them to know that I have these problems, because if I were a manager, I would probably not hire the depressed, the depressed guy.
I don't put it on my resume, and that disability section is not seen by the hiring manager, so I'm not as worried about it. Um, I'm not gonna bring it up proactively. I'm only uh, and I don't think legally they can ask anything about what I have unless I tell them about it. But I've always been super fortunate here to be places where I have people around me that are very understanding. And ever since I did go inpatient, I've been very vocal on LinkedIn, even talking about my experience and talking about being a working professional who uh, doesn't suffer
Well,
anymore, but who has depression and anxiety and is living and thriving even with it.
yeah. So it's double work. It's double the merit.
Yeah, I feel like me waking up, coming in and doing my job, and just showing up authentically and showing up in a big way every day, I think speaks
It's
more
it,
to what I've overcome and how strong I am as a person. Because my default, which I'm sure you understand when you're talking about the sun finally came out, without medication, without therapy, I'm down here where most people are up here on just like average.
Yeah,
And it's not that the medication, it's not that the therapy puts me all the way up here. It's that it puts me at the same place as other people, and it
correct.
gives me an opportunity to have that same level of happiness as other people. My medications, my therapy don't make me happy. They get me into a place where I can be happy.
Function, be normal,
Yes.
have a
Yeah.
normal life. Yes, I had a bad experience with with work because I was actually fired one time for because I got in a depressive state and where for 2 3 weeks I didn't work. I was in bed all day.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I never talk about that because I was afraid of from not getting the job. And when I had the job, I'm like, I'm fine. I can do this work. Um, but I wasn't taking the right medications. I wasn't taking the appropriate dosage because I'm like, I don't need all that. I'm gonna take only half. And suddenly something happened with a girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend. She got ovarian cancer or
Mhm.
sorry, cervical cancer, and I the relationship wasn't going good at that moment when she got diagnosed. So I was with her for some time. The first chemo, the first three surgeries, the first chemo, but then I left because I couldn't handle it. And I thought it was gonna be good for me, but the only thing that happened was that I felt guilty and I felt horrible and I didn't want to do anything. So
Well, and I think that's where the company you're at makes all the difference, because a good company, a good leadership would say, "Hey, you're a fantastic worker. I can see something's not right. Let's talk about FMLA. Let's talk about short-term disability so that you can get yourself better, so that you can go talk to somebody, so that you can get out of this." And that's what I was offered was, "Hey,
yeah,
this is really not like you. Like, this isn't something where you're constantly calling out of work. Like, hey, let's work together and let's be very open and honest with each other." And that's what Talaris granted me, was an open and honest line of communication to tell them, I'm not doing okay. I need to work from home. And this was, again, I got out of the mental health facility in July of 2019, um, and was still going into the office. Remote work was not really a thing uh, yet. And that's why I am a bit thankful, because when the pandemic happened, I was able to slow down a lot more, where I was kind of forcing myself to go out and be in situations, even though I was still feeling very raw, very vulnerable, and not feeling like myself and getting used to this new normal. And the pandemic allowed me to not retreat away from everybody, but have a moment to breathe,
yes,
where I could figure out what who Kira is now, now that I've addressed all these things, and now that I'm being very honest. And without the pandemic, I would have still been forcing myself to go into work, communicate with people, and even still act like nothing was really wrong. And the pandemic gave me enough kind of coverage to freak out without it
yeah,
being a big thing. And I was able to work from home, still do my job, still see my psychiatrist and my psychologist remotely, but it just allowed me to slow down a lot more. And I feel very privileged. I feel very lucky that I was able to take some time and kind of just be with my husband, just us two, in a very
yeah.
slow paced environment with no expectations on me. Because I think that was what was hurting me still, was there was expectations of me just jumping, like bouncing back, and I wasn't ready to bounce back yet.
That's great. Well, the pandemic wasn't good for me actually. It was
For a lot of
uh,
people, and that's where I say I feel very privileged and very
yeah,
lucky that the
yeah,
pandemic
no, but
for
the
me was
pandemic
a time to breathe.
no, I agree. The pandemic was bad for me because I'm alone. I have no
Yeah.
family here in the US. I didn't have a girlfriend at that time. It was just myself alone all day. And for many years I struggled with that, with uh I mean, people look at me and they feel like, oh, he's like a party guy or he's in Miami. No, I struggle to go out. My homework, my psychologist's homework is to go outside, to
Yeah.
go out at night. So the pandemic was terrible for me because first, they murdered one of a nephew in Mexico. 15-year-old nephew was murdered, was abducted too and murdered, and that crushed me. I was here alone all day, uh, like I was dying
It was hard.
inside.
Yeah.
It was horrible, but it also, made me. I don't know. Every time I have like these terrible moments, I just say like, I want to leave. I want to fight, and
Yes.
and
Yes.
and that's it. And
I
I
wake up with the intent every day that I am very happy to be alive, and I am very happy to be here. I am very lucky that I am here. I feel like there could have been just certain differences that happened that would have made it to where I could not be here anymore, but everything aligned. I have a very supportive husband, I have a very supportive family. My work was really great. Uh, and all of those things truly helped me. And I made a realization that I want to live and that my life, even as it is worth something. That my life, even as hard as it has been, as frustrating as it's been at times, my life is still mine, and it is still something to celebrate and be a part of. So I'm going to show up every day and I'm going to live and I'm going to rewrite some of those bad things because those bad things, in the scheme of things, for me at least, they're going to be such a small part of my life in the end.
Yeah,
And I'm
when
going to
we
work.
realize when we go to the therapy and we you right analyze these little things, at the end of the day it's nothing. We suffer sometimes for little things that we
Yes.
make them big. Yesterday I was talking to my therapist too. I just came back from Mexico for almost 6 7 weeks because I'm not working, and I was here alone. So my family told me, "Why don't you come and apply here?" Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it. And I got so much love in Mexico, like from my mom, from my dad, from family. I had a ton of family there. I went to a Sweet 16, I think they call it here, like that, right?
Okay.
Sweet 16s that
Yeah.
I was not gonna go because I didn't have the money and I was not planning to go to Mexico to spend money. But when I got there, my aunt, the grandmother of the girl, she told me, "Oh my God, you are my gift from God. I asked God I asked God that I wanted you to be here, and you are here. So I'm so happy." And yesterday I was talking that to my therapist, and he was like, "That's great." And so, do you see how many people loves you and values you and appreciates you? And sometimes I forget it because I'm here in Miami alone in an apartment, beautiful apartment by the way, with beach view, the pool. And for years I felt guilty because everyone was like, "Why are you sad? Why are you depressed if you are in Miami?"
That's how
You
I
are,
felt too. You have a
and
good
it's
job. You have a husband that loves you. You just bought a house. Why are
yeah.
you sad?
What are you sad?
But I was talking to my therapist today, because I go to therapy and it's amazing and I love it, and I'm on medication and it's amazing and I love it. I was talking to my therapist today, uh, and he said the logical part of your brain is not always in charge. The emotional part of your brain can take over in a big way, where you're not thinking logically because, to your point, you're in a beautiful apartment looking at the ocean.
Yeah.
You have an amazing pool and you can go and be in the sun and swim. What's wrong?
And I'm healthy, and we're healthy too, right? Because then
Yeah,
we look at these people who I have interviewed some of these guys who lost both their eyes, who had an
yeah.
accident and they lost their limbs, and they are like, "I'm still fighting and I'm happy," and I'm like, Shit.
I
The-
think the best thing that was ever told to me is pain is not felt in the same way. And
yeah,
so I think a great example is like getting tattooed. I have tattoos on my feet. They were fine. I was fine getting tattooed there. There are some people who have told me it made them pass out. They couldn't finish it. It made them throw up. And it's that same thing for us that trauma is not going to be felt the same by everyone else. Even for siblings growing up, me
yeah,
and my siblings did not experience the same parents. We did not experience the same life because there's so many changes between each of our lived experiences. And it's okay to not be okay.
yeah,
It is okay to have mental health issues, to have depression, to have anxiety, to live with it. Because I'm sure you heard this a lot growing up too, like, oh, you don't even know. There's some people who don't even get food.
yeah.
And why are you sad? Like, look at how great your life is. And you feel bad. You feel,
It's
it makes you feel
horrible.
even worse that you're like, oh my gosh,
And
I'm sad, I'm crying. And
or I survived. I
yeah,
survived the abduction. I was
yes,
abducted by
you survived. Why are
a
you
drug
still,
cartel
yeah,
who killed. They cut their heads of people. I survived, and I live in Miami. Why am I sad? Right? Why am I
yeah.
suffering?
But that's exactly it, is just saying it's okay that I'm suffering. It's okay that I'm sad. There's still days where I get really hard, like really down into depression. And my husband says something really amazing. He says, be sad today, be something else tomorrow. So he allows me to sit with my sadness and he doesn't try to force it away. Because if you were happy, you wouldn't try to be something else. If you like, if you were experiencing joy, you wouldn't go, oh, why am I joyful? Why am I feeling happiness? I don't want to feel this. It's the same thing with sadness. If you try to push it away and if you try, like, emotions are not inherently bad, and it is okay to feel sadness.
Yeah, correct.
Being sad, being angry don't need to have a bad label as long as you're expressing them in a healthy way. And for me, being sad means I might watch one of my favorite movies, I might binge watch the Golden Girls TV show, or I might read. And I just need to really be in the sadness and feel it and get a good cry out, and I'm going to be okay. But if I try to push it away, that's when I see issues pop up.
I'm in that process now to actually allow me to be sad, allow me
Yeah,
to, because for many years I felt terrible. Why am I one day in bed all day and I don't want to do anything? And the whole day I was just blaming myself, like I'm sad, I'm depressed. Why? This is horrible. My life is horrible. Everything is horrible. And now my therapist actually told me, by the way, I've been going to therapy constantly, discipline for 3 months right now.
congratulations.
So you are not the only one. Out of 18 years, 16 years since I've been struggling with
Yeah,
depression, this is probably my first time in my life, 3 months that I've been constantly going to a therapist. And something he told me was that if one day you don't want to do anything, don't do it. Stay home
yeah.
and enjoy it. Enjoy the pain, the sadness.
Don't think about what you're missing out on out there.
Exactly.
Just
And
be
relax.
okay with being
Just
home.
be okay with sleeping all day. If you want to sleep all day, do it. Just one day. The next day,
Yes.
and that's what I do.
Be sad
Sometimes
today, be something
actually
else tomorrow.
this week, the day I was supposed to call you, I didn't call you because I was all day in bed.
I
Um,
and I remember like, oh, Adolfo was supposed to call me today.
yeah, and
And
I didn't.
even when you called me the next day though, I feel like having depression and anxiety gives us kind of a superpower where I'm a lot more empathetic and I'm a lot more understanding of things happening to other people,
And I
and
was
I
like,
don't take it personally
I
at
was like,
all.
oh, she's gonna get mad. I was like, she's gonna get mad, but I was like, well, whatever. But I wasn't feeling that good that day, and so I don't. I mean, it's time to end. How do we end? Because I don't want to end this with feeling bad. I want to end this with the good stuff. So why don't we do Kira, a recap of the things that have helped you
Yes.
overcome depression, on
Uh,
in with the understanding that we are not perfect. We're still
yes.
struggle. This is a daily fight. I'm not like I wish I was already or like happy every day and jumping and super happy, and I'm not there yet. I would love to be there one day, and I'm working towards that. I don't even know if one day will happen, but every day I try to 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 do a lot of things. But I want to listen to you first, and then I
Yeah.
close with
For me, it's been being extremely honest and open with those closest to me and building a support system around me. So my husband Shane, my sister and my brother and my best friend, and being really open with them and telling them when I'm going through a hard time, and talking about that during good times and setting a plan for what happens if I start to go into a bad time. So that's something that I've done. I've talked with my husband and said, if you see me starting to struggle, here's what we need to do. Because during a bad time, if somebody says, "What do you need?" you're gonna go, "I don't know. I'm I'm not okay. I don't know what to do." So planning when you're in a good headspace is always a good idea. That has helped me a lot, and it saved me from spiraling back down because my support system knows how to support me. Uh, Consistently taking my medication. Uh, for the first couple years, I would tell my doctor after the summer, "I feel so great. I don't need to be on my pills anymore." And then he would tell me, "Let's talk after the winter. Let's see how you do after winter." During the winter, I'd be like, "Oh God, thank you for keeping me on these meds." So being consistent with my medication, continuing therapy, and setting goals for myself has also helped tremendously. I have a bingo card that I made with three of my closest friends this year, uh, that helped me push myself a little out of my comfort zone and being okay, not being comfortable all the time.
perfect. So yeah, so having a support system. So here we're gonna put this on tools to, or how would you say it better than me in English? Tools to not lose it.
Yes,
Tools
exactly.
tools to
Tools
stay
to be
sane.
happy.
Tools to be happy. Having a support system. Taking your medications. Please take your medications. If you are
Yes,
not, if you are struggling, go to the psychiatrist. Please don't be afraid. And you are gonna say that here at the end. Don't be afraid to go to the psychiatrist. Go to the therapist too. Therapy is extremely important.
yes,
Um, I don't know how to say this, and we say with experience that it's important. It's essential. Like it has to. You need therapy. We need therapy. I
it's
need
just like
therapy.
going to a primary care physician. If you
Yes.
had cholesterol problems, if you had diabetes, you would go to a doctor. It's the same thing.
Yes. Yeah. Therapy is essential, and having a plan, pushing yourself, which I
Yes,
love too, because I'm also always pushing myself because I want to be successful in my work. I want to be I want this podcast to be success. I want this podcast to be the number one mental health podcast in the world. That's what I want. And so I have to push myself, or I also have to take care of my health and understand my limits so I can achieve what I want to achieve. And so, Kira, please end with telling people to cut the bullshit and go look for help if you're not feeling well. Please, we beg you,
yes.
don't
It
wait
is
until you wanna
okay.
kill yourself.
It is okay to not be okay. It is okay to need help. Please seek out help. Seek out a support system. get a therapist, go see a psychiatrist, end the stigma, and just remember hope saves lives.
Okay, I think we said everything. Thank you so much for listening to
Thank
this
you.
episode. Thank you to Kira. Thank you for everyone. If you want, we have, please, now I have to start saying this. Like, share, subscribe. We have almost 20 episodes already. Some are in Spanish, some are in English. We are on TikTok, on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast. We have almost 80,000 followers right now, but that's nothing. We need to get to millions. So please share, subscribe, like, and if you have questions, ask me. Put them on the platform on YouTube, Apple, TikTok, Instagram. I'm sure Kira can answer if she sees it. If I see them, I try to answer. But most important, look for help. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless everyone.